Imagine a world where you could create an exact copy of yourself. A world where your clone could live alongside you, sharing your experiences, thoughts, and even your dreams. This might sound like something out of a science fiction novel, but the reality is that we are closer to this possibility than ever before. That's the promise and peril of human cloning. The idea of cloning humans has fascinated scientists and the public alike for decades. The concept of creating a genetic duplicate of a person opens up a world of possibilities, but it also brings with it a host of ethical and moral dilemmas. This scientific possibility has captivated our imaginations for decades. From classic science fiction movies to speculative articles in vintage science magazines, the idea of cloning has been a topic of endless fascination and debate. But it also raises big questions about what it means to be human. If we can create an exact genetic replica of ourselves, what does that say about our individuality and uniqueness? Are we more than just the sum of our genetic parts? Cloning might sound like science fiction, but it's closer to reality than you think. Scientists have made significant strides in cloning technology, and the day when human cloning becomes a reality may not be far off. Scientists have already cloned animals, and the technology is constantly advancing. From Dolly the sheep to more recent advancements, the field of cloning is progressing at a rapid pace. But before we unleash a world of clones, we need to think carefully about the implications. The ethical considerations are vast and complex. What rights would a clone have? How would society treat these individuals? What would it mean for our identity if we could create copies of ourselves? Would a clone be considered an extension of ourselves, or a completely separate individual with their own rights and identity? Would clones have the same rights as any other human being? The legal and human rights implications are profound and must be carefully considered before moving forward with human cloning. These are not easy questions to answer. The debate over human cloning touches on deep philosophical, ethical, and legal issues that society must grapple with. Join me as we unravel the science, ethics, and potential future of human cloning. Together, we will explore the cutting-edge research, the ethical debates, and the potential future scenarios that human cloning could bring. Get ready, it's going to be a wild ride. The journey into the world of human cloning is filled with twists and turns, and it's sure to challenge our understanding of what it means to be human. So, how does cloning actually work? The science is fascinating. Cloning is a process that has intrigued scientists and the public alike for decades. It involves creating a genetically identical copy of an organism, and the journey from a single cell to a full-grown clone is nothing short of extraordinary. It all starts with DNA, the blueprint of life that makes each of us unique. DNA contains the instructions needed to build and maintain an organism. It's like a biological code that determines everything from our eye color to our susceptibility to certain diseases. In cloning, scientists take the DNA from one organism's cell and insert it into an egg cell from another organism. This process is known as somatic cell nuclear transfer. The egg cell's own DNA is removed and replaced with the DNA from the donor cell. The egg cell acts like a factory, using the DNA instructions to grow a new organism that's genetically identical to the original. This new organism starts as a single cell, which then divides and grows, following the genetic blueprint provided by the donor DNA. Think of it like copying and pasting a file on your computer. Just as the copied file is an exact replica of the original, the cloned organism is a genetic duplicate of the donor. You're essentially creating a duplicate of the original, but in this case, it's a living, breathing creature. The cloned animal will have the same genetic makeup as the donor, but it will grow and develop independently, potentially leading to differences in appearance and behavior due to environmental factors. Scientists have already used this technique, called somatic cell nuclear transfer, to clone animals like Dolly the sheep. Dolly was the first mammal to be cloned from an adult somatic cell, and her creation marked a significant milestone in the field of genetic research. But cloning humans is much more complex, both scientifically and ethically. The potential for cloning to be used in humans raises numerous ethical questions and concerns, including issues of identity, the potential for abuse, and the long-term effects on society. As a result, human cloning remains a highly controversial and heavily regulated area of research. Proponents of human cloning argue it could offer tremendous benefits. Imagine a world where we could grow new organs for transplant patients, eliminating the waiting list for organ donations. Cloning could also be used to help endangered species recover their populations. By creating genetically identical copies of endangered animals, we could give them a fighting chance for survival. Some even believe cloning could bring back extinct animals, like the woolly mammoth. While this is still in the realm of science fiction, the possibility is intriguing. However, it's crucial to remember that these potential benefits come with significant ethical considerations. We need to weigh the potential benefits against the risks before we proceed with human cloning. One of the biggest ethical concerns surrounding human cloning is the question of identity. If we create a genetically identical copy of someone, are they their own person? Would a clone have the same rights and freedoms as any other human being? Or would they be seen as a copy, a lesser version of the original? These questions cut to the heart of what it means to be human. Our identity is shaped not only by our genes but also by our experiences, upbringing, and choices. A clone might share the same DNA as another person, but they would still be a unique individual with their own thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Section 5. A world of doubles, inequality, and cloning. Another major concern with human cloning is the potential for inequality. If cloning becomes a reality, who will have access to this technology? Would it be available to everyone, or would it only be accessible to the wealthy and powerful? Imagine a world where the rich could create copies of themselves to inherit their wealth and power. This could lead to a further entrenchment of existing inequalities, creating a society where the privileged few have an even greater advantage. It's crucial to ensure that any potential applications of human cloning are accessible to all members of society, regardless of their socioeconomic status. Section 6. Cloning in stories, from fiction to reality. The idea of human cloning has been a staple of science fiction for decades. From Mary Shelley's Frankenstein to the movie Gattaca, these narratives have captivated our imaginations and sparked countless debates. We've been fascinated by the possibilities and dangers of creating life. The allure of playing God, of crafting life from mere cells, has always been a double-edged sword. On one hand, it promises incredible advancements in medicine and science. On the other, it opens a Pandora's box of ethical dilemmas and unforeseen consequences. These stories often serve as cautionary tales, warning us about the potential consequences of tampering with the natural order. They paint vivid pictures of worlds gone awry, where the quest for perfection leads to dystopian realities, warning us about the potential consequences of tampering with the natural order. They remind us that even with the best intentions, our creations can have unintended and potentially disastrous consequences. The ethical dilemmas posed by cloning are not just theoretical, they challenge our very understanding of what it means to be human. They remind us that even with the best intentions, our creations can have unintended and potentially disastrous consequences. The ethical dilemmas posed by cloning are not just theoretical, they challenge our very understanding of what it means to be human. Our creations can have unintended and potentially disastrous consequences. But science fiction also explores the more nuanced aspects of human cloning, such as the question of identity and the search for meaning in a world where our uniqueness can be replicated. But science fiction also explores the more nuanced aspects of human cloning, delving into the psychological and social implications. What happens when a clone looks in the mirror? Do they see themselves or a mere copy? These stories force us to confront the essence of individuality and the soul, such as the question of identity and the search for meaning in a world where our uniqueness can be replicated. The idea that our very essence can be duplicated raises profound questions about the nature of existence and the value we place on our individuality, and the search for meaning in a world where our uniqueness can be replicated. These narratives push us to ponder the deeper philosophical questions, such as what it means to be truly unique in a world where replication is possible. These stories can help us grapple with the complex ethical and philosophical questions raised by human cloning. They serve as a mirror, reflecting our hopes, fears, and the moral quandaries we face as we stand on the brink of a new era in biotechnology. As we navigate the uncharted territory of this technology, we must tread carefully, guided by the lessons and warnings embedded in these fictional tales. They remind us that while the future holds incredible promise, it also demands a deep sense of responsibility and ethical consideration. Section 7. The science today, where we stand on cloning. So, where do we stand with human cloning today? While scientists have made significant strides in animal cloning, human cloning remains a distant prospect. There are still many technical challenges to overcome, and the ethical concerns surrounding human cloning are immense. Most countries have strict regulations or outright bans on human cloning due to these concerns. However, research on cloning continues in other areas, such as therapeutic cloning. This involves creating cloned embryos to harvest stem cells, which have the potential to treat a wide range of diseases. While therapeutic cloning also raises ethical questions, it's considered less controversial than reproductive cloning, which aims to create a new human being. Section 8. The Future of Cloning, a Balancing Act. The future of human cloning is uncertain, and it's a topic that demands careful consideration and open dialogue. We need to weigh the potential benefits against the risks and ensure that any applications of this technology are guided by ethical principles. It's crucial to involve scientists, ethicists, policymakers, and the public in a conversation about the implications of human cloning. Together, we can create guidelines and regulations that promote responsible innovation while safeguarding human rights and dignity. The future of human cloning is not predetermined. It's up to us to shape it in a way that benefits all of humanity. Section 9. Conclusion. To clone or not to clone. Human cloning is a powerful technology with the potential to revolutionize medicine, conservation, and our understanding of life itself. However, it also raises profound ethical questions about identity, inequality, and the very essence of what it means to be human. As we stand on the cusp of this brave new world, we must proceed with caution, guided by both scientific knowledge and ethical considerations. The decision of whether or not to clone a human being is not one to be taken lightly. It's a decision that will shape the future of our species. So let's choose wisely.